Humans are weird. Bound. The brilliant light from the system's 3 stars pierced the atmosphere and seared through the canopy of grasses that gently waved several meters over the composting clearing. The shadows were dense enough to prevent radiation burns for most species, but even so, several layers of protection had been suggested by the local ranger base. Touching the passing mammals very deliberately rustled the topmost layers in the central pile in a gesture that hopefully translated to the undulate as a waggle of concentration even from under the additional mass. Prod Swiftly was a little difficult to read himself. The domed radiation shield the local undulates preferred took several of their appendages to control and effectively hid them from above. Fortunately, they could all resort to purely auditory languages, but it did limit things slightly even so. "I think that I have gathered the essential meaning of your communication," Touches the passing mammal said slowly. "I am simply uncertain why you have brought your observations to me." Prod swiftly shifted his mask to the side, shoving over a pile of dropped grass seeds. "The local medic does not recognize the behavior as problematic in any way," Probe swiftly explained, "and her first mother relies entirely on her for all human-related interactions, as there is very little language overlap between these human rangers and the local Shatar population." "And yet the human's behavior has resulted in several injuries," Touching the passing mammals observed. "As yet, they are fairly minor," Probe swiftly explained. "While there is some danger of a serious injury resulting from the behavior, the human in question does seem to have taken reasonable steps to mediate these dangers." A particularly strong wind swept over the canopy, and the grass heads bent and swished, letting a powerful concentration of radiation fall into the clearing. The undulate retreated under his shield and clamped it to the surface of decaying leaves under him. Touching the passing mammals considered sending a tendril up under the shield to continue the conversation, but decided against it. The wind gusts would pass soon enough, and by the time enough mass had been extended to both produce and receive sound, it would be unnecessary. Then, Touching the passing mammals would have to pull it back down before one of the newly arrived humans lumbered into the clearing, or risked some minor crushing damage. So, Touching the passing mammals pondered the situation the undulate had presented. From everything that had been digested, the humans did not experience dormancy in anything approaching the same way the gathering did. For one thing, this sleep cycle the humans engaged in occurred with the local day-night cycle, and seemed to have to do with the humans needing to flush waste toxins from their central thought organ. There were a few similarities, however. The humans tended to seek a low elevation and layer with dead matter, often composed of detritus-like material, though many humans preferred synthetic, for warmth while their core mass was inactive. Still, that was hardly enough for the undulate to make a connection between the two behaviors. Touching the passing mammals' musings were interrupted as the gust ended, and Probe swiftly poked a slightly bleached appendage experimentally out from under the radiation shield before lifting it. "It is a matter of individual preference," Probe swiftly explained. "The binding process that concerns me appears to be unique to this human, in my experience. You also have chosen a statistically unusual pattern of dormancy to your species, and there is quite literal overlap in the methodology." Touching the passing mammals generated a thoughtful ground hum to display consideration to the undulate as that processed. "Describe the methodology to me again," Touching the passing mammals requested. Probe swiftly shifted around a bit before answering. "The human goes to bed and assumes a quite normal supine position with his arms and shoulders over the blankets and sheets." "Which is the problematic layer?" Touching the passing mammals asked. "The sheets," Probe swiftly asked. "The blankets are too thick to bind. As the human drops into dormancy, he changes position several times, but usually the sheet is still in over the overall coverage position by the time he reaches full unconsciousness." "And the dangerous behavior occurs after the human passes into full dormancy?" Touching the passing mammals asked. "Yes," Probe swiftly stated. "That is very strange, I know." Touching the passing mammals shuffled mass in a gesture for Probe swiftly to go on. Somehow, the sheet becomes twisted and wrapped tightly around the human's legs, Probe swiftly stated. When the human comes out of dormancy, he attempts to rise from his dormancy platform and falls, causing his center of mass to drop violently to the floor. We can feel the vibrations all around the base. But the human has not yet sustained injury from this behavior, touching the passing mammal's breast. No, Prod swiftly admitted, not serious injury. Touching the passing mammals settled into a center of mass to process this. Perhaps there was more of a connection here than it had first seemed. Not only had touching the passing mammals chosen a primary area in the great grasslands of the world, offers from more motile allies to segment the grass section slowly being digested had been refused, effectively binding the gathering to this one biome with its tangled interconnections. This carried certain dangers and certain advantages. Deliberate restriction. I will speak to the human, touching the passing mammal stated, though I do not promise to attempt to alter his behavior. Thank you, Prod swiftly exclaimed. That is of course fair. I will tell the human you wish to speak to him. He will not object? Touching the passing mammals asked. Not him, Prod swiftly said with a shimmy of amusement. There's nothing a human likes more than talking about themselves. Humans Are Weird, I Did the Math, available on Indiegogo, February and March of 2026. If you want more absurd humans and befuddled aliens, get your copy now.